Your local election headquarters. Here is This Week in Louisiana Politics.
Good Sunday morning to you. I'm Fred Childers. Thanks for joining us for This Week in Louisiana Politics on your local election headquarters. We have a jam-packed show, so let's get going. For no reason, at least not a stated reason, the U.S. Supreme Court did not hand down an expected decision on Friday regarding Louisiana's long-fought redistricting case. Instead, the Supreme Court said it needs to rehear the arguments regarding the new 6th congressional district map. A little background here. That district was redrawn to create a second majority black district in the state following the 2020 census. You see it there. A lawsuit was filed claiming the district was racially gerrymandered, unconstitutional, and in violation of the 14th Amendment. The map was defended by Attorney General Liz Murrill. The Supreme Court said on Friday, quote, "These cases are restored to the calendar for re-argument. In due course, the court will issue an order scheduling argument and specifying any additional questions to be addressed in supplemental briefing." Now, we might not see a decision until the fall, so one person probably watching for that decision the closest would be Cleo Fields. He's the Democrat who ran for the 6th congressional seat and won last year. Now, we had him on this show last week. Anticipating Friday's decision, I asked him what his reaction would be. Here's what he's had to say.
Well, look, whatever decision the Supreme Court makes, I'm going to accept it because that's the way it goes. That's the way it should work. And you know, I can't say to the president, you know, you got to accept the court's decision and move on, and then I don't accept it.
That was his reaction last week. After hearing about Friday's non-decision, Fields released this written statement, writing in part, quote, "While many were looking forward to receiving clarity on this matter today, this decision does not change anything in the immediate future for the people of Louisiana. I look forward to continuing to serve the people of the 6th District as the legal and judicial process continues." Well, a federal court is upholding a ban on Louisiana's new law requiring 10 Commandments displays in classrooms, ruling it unconstitutional and a violation of the First Amendment. Supporters of the law say the 10 Commandments serve a historical purpose and help teach morals. The law called for a Protestant version to be displayed. Attorney General Liz Murrill says she'll fight the ruling even to the U.S. Supreme Court if needed.
Yeah, so we're disappointed in the 10 Commandments ruling, although I can't say that I'm surprised. We had already expected to take this case en banc to the 5th Circuit if necessary, and so that's what we're planning to do. And one judge on the 5th Circuit has already delayed the mandate, and so, you know, we think that there are a number of judges who would like to address this in the en banc.
Now, you heard the AG promise an appeal. Well, she sent out this statement on Thursday saying, quote, "Today, my office filed a petition seeking the full 5th Circuit's review in our litigation regarding Louisiana's 10 Commandments law." Now, the 5th Circuit's panel decision in this case directly rejected the 5th Circuit's own precedents and precedents from other circuits and the Supreme Court. This is exactly the sort of case that warrants full court review, and we appreciate the court's careful consideration. We also spoke with a representative of one of the organizations challenging the classroom 10 Commandments law to get their take on the 5th Circuit's recent decision. Here's what he had to say.
It protects the religious freedom and constitutional rights of all the other public school parents and children in the state. The parents and children will no longer have to worry that their school district will force them to view and venerate a religious text throughout their time in public schools.
Okay, that's a take from the other side. There have been many court battles fought over displays of the 10 Commandments. A Kentucky law similar to Louisiana's was struck down by the Supreme Court back in 1980. Those justices ruled that law violated the part of the Constitution that states that Congress can make no law respecting an establishment of religion. Louisiana's Attorney General and the governor are announcing multiple lawsuits have been filed against CVS. They claim recent texts and emails violated multiple laws in Louisiana and that CVS and several of its affiliates used customers' personal data and information to send those messages. The governor calls it fear tactics. Deshaun Johnson explains why they're raising concerns.
Today, I'm announcing that 3 new lawsuits are being filed against CVS Healthcare Corporation, Caremark PCS, Health LLC, and all of their affiliated entities.
Attorney General Liz Murrill, along with Governor Jeff Landry, say they're cracking down on bigger pharmacies like CVS.
Together, we have been fighting for patients, pharmacists, and physicians, not for headlines, but for people and health.
Murrill says she sent CVS a cease and desist on June 12th after thousands of people received these types of texts saying they would lose their access to affordable medicine and care in reference to bills seeking to help locally owned pharmacies. Governor Landry says this is not only illegal, but a violation of personal data since messages are being sent on the same chain you would get prescription notifications.
CVS abused customers' sensitive information to push a political message.
The 3 lawsuits highlight unfair trade practices, vertical integration issues, and an overall violation of the state law. Responding to the claims, CVS says, quote, "Our communication with CVS customers, patients, and members of the community was consistent with the law." They went on to say, "We believe the claims are without merit and will defend ourselves vigorously," end quote. Morrow says because of CVS, local pharmacies are being pushed out of town. With the lawsuits now filed, both say they'll make sure state law is enforced.
That is unfair. It is deceptive. And I believe in Louisiana it's illegal. So we're going to make sure that those kind of practices stop. We are going to enforce Louisiana law that protects our independent pharmacists.
Today is a day that the people of Louisiana say that enough is enough, that we choose Main Street instead of Wall Street.
Deshaun Johnson, Louisiana First News.
And no special session has been announced regarding that issue. Governor Landry signing a series of bills this week he claims will unleash Louisiana's coastal energy production. These measures do a handful of things, including ending a legacy lawsuit Landry says has been an industry issue for years now, reorganizing the Department of Natural Resources to give the state more control of water resources, and reducing taxes on oil produced from newly completed wells by almost half. Governor Landry also held a bill signing with Health and Human Services Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. RFK came to Baton Rouge in support of what the governor's office called a first-of-its-kind MAHA policy. That's Make America Healthy Again. It's Senate Bill 14, which aims to change nutrition in the state and proposes new requirements that aim to educate people about ingredients in their food and prevent artificial colors and additives from being served to students, and provide education requirements for some working in the healthcare industry. The bill was signed at the Pennington Biomedical Research Center in Baton Rouge on Friday. Governor Landry also used that pen to issue a veto this week, letting the air out of an effort to prohibit the release of balloons over concerns of environmental damage, wildlife deaths, and recent utility outages. Landry said the law would be impossible to enforce. The governor notified the House of the veto on Tuesday, saying if signed into law, police departments all over the state would be tasked with tracking down locations from where balloons were released based off eyewitness accounts, only to be met with excuses and finger pointing. Landry believes the issue should be left up to local governments to deal with. Senator Bill Cassidy is calling for a meeting of the Advisory Council on Immunization Practices to be postponed. This following a major shakeup to that group by Secretary Robert Kennedy Jr. Louisiana First News reporter Michelle Masson has the details.
I'm doing this wanting to support the administration. I want the administration to be successful. And so everything I wrote in that tweet last night, or that X message is there to hopefully support the administration to help them get something which is more credible and something which is more standing.
U.S. Senator Bill Cassidy says he's working closely with RFK Jr., trying to guide him to choices that will not erode public confidence in vaccines. This after RFK Jr., in his role as Secretary of Health and Human Services, removed all 17 members of the committee.
I know that they're actively interviewing for others to fill those positions. I have actually submitted several names to be considered. So they're actively interviewing.
The CDC says Kennedy has since named 8 new members to the committee who are scheduled to have their first meeting Wednesday, which leaves several vacancies by that time.
Those new appointees will not be on the panel by then. So, and for the secretary, he'll come on a regularly scheduled visit. There will not be a extra visit, if you will, but he's scheduled to come see us every quarter.
In a tweet, Senator Cassidy said, although the appointees to ACIP have scientific credentials, many do not have significant experience studying microbiology, epidemiology, or immunology. In particular, some lack experience studying new technologies such as mRNA vaccines and may even have a preconceived bias against them. Robust and transparent scientific discussion is important, so long as it is rooted in evidence and understanding. Wednesday's meeting should not proceed with a relatively small panel and no CDC director in place to approve the panel's recommendations. The meeting should be delayed until the panel is fully staffed with more robust and balanced representation as required by law, including those with more direct relevant expertise. Otherwise, ACIP's recommendations could be viewed with skepticism, which will work against the success of this administration's efforts. The ACIP will meet to discuss and vote on recommendations for various vaccines. That meeting will be available for public viewing on the CDC's website. In Baton Rouge, Michelle Masson, Louisiana First News.
Cassidy says although he called for the postponement of the meeting, it is still scheduled to go on as planned. Coming up, the regular legislative session produced a slew of laws, and they'll soon be going into effect. Up next, we'll let you know which ones. Stay with us.